welcome everybody to This Week in Android. I am your host, Ashley Esqueda. Our regular co-host, Mark Jeffrey, is at home today. He had an impacted wisdom tooth that was removed. So, Mark, feel better. And but it's all right because we got some great co-hosts. So, to my left we have Jeff Ammons, who is a developer here at Mahalo. And thanks for filling in.
No problem.
Appreciate it. And we also have the CEO of Mobile Roadie, who is our app of the week this week, Michael Schneider. So thank you for coming here and being with us in studio, which is great.
Thanks for having me.
So, and let's get right into it. I'm really excited because TWiA was last week. So let's talk about some of the phones that they unveiled. My personal favorite, the HTC Evo.
Yep.
It's going to be huge.
It's going to be awesome.
For those of you living under a rock, Sprint and HTC unveiled their Evo. The Evo last week. It was formerly known as the Supersonic. It's going to be on the 4G network. It'll be coming to Sprint in summer of this year. 720p video, auto high def swap when you're in 4G service areas. They're going to have an 8 megapixel camera with dual LED flash on the back, a 1.3 megapixel camera, front facing camera, and Quick is going to be their native stream app. It's going to come auto installed on the phone, and a 4.3 inch screen. Pretty much the craziest, most super beast of a phone.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it has HDMI out, or like
it has an HDMI out.
That just blows my mind to have it on a phone.
HDMI out. I mean the possibilities, and the people who have had it hands-on, like Engadget, all the different outlets are saying that this phone just screams.
You could sort of use it now with Sprint's MiFi. If you're in certain cities that are 4G, you can connect your phone to Wi-Fi and see the speed, and it's phenomenal. And
people who've been using the Overdrive, the little device, the MiFi device is great. So, but I'm so excited about this phone, and I'm a Sprint. Like I told everyone last week, I'm on Sprint, so I've been like, oh my god, like this is the phone. Like this is the phone I've been waiting for my whole life.
We have like 3 guys in the office that keep waiting. Like every time a phone comes out, they'll be like, oh, I think I'm gonna get this one. And then this one just came out, and they're like, "Oh God, I gotta wait till the summer. I can't handle it anymore."
Because the rumors are out for the next one.
Yeah,
right?
That's
you chase technology, you're never gonna have a phone.
Exactly. That's like you're saying. I'm like, look, I have a phone here and it works.
Yeah.
I'm like,
There's still like a little Nokia candy bar
exactly.
for
One of them doesn't
96.
even have a phone because he fell off his bike and it broke. Poor guy. He's just chasing rainbows here.
Which leads me to my next piece of advice: don't ride bicycles.
Wow.
No, I'm just kidding. I love bikes. And then let's see. Another phone that was unveiled this week is the Samsung Galaxy S. I would imagine the S is for stupendous screen. I don't know. I haven't heard what the S. Special.
I got nothing.
Sexy. I've heard it's gorgeous. In person, the AMOLED screen is like unbelievable. Now, let me ask you a question. Both of you. If you had to choose between the Samsung Galaxy and the Evo, which one would you pick?
I think the Evo has a larger screen, just a little bit. So
but it's not AMOLED.
I think it might be. I'm not 100% sure on that. Somebody was just telling me it was.
Nope.
I didn't verify that.
I was very sad.
Okay.
I was very sad to hear.
I don't know then.
Are they both 4G?
No.
Well,
I think that
I'd probably
the Galaxy
choose the 4G.
would probably pick the 4G phone.
Yeah.
What kind of coverage is there for 4G? You know?
Well, right now it's spotty, but supposedly by summer.
They're adding like 7 new
LA,
markets.
San Francisco, Seattle, New
Yeah,
York.
Miami.
I might go with it for
I mean, don't take a road trip with it, but business travel is probably fine.
Don't go. Well, they did say that it would switch back and forth between 3G and 4G.
Oh, okay.
And that if you were like, for example, if you were on YouTube, on the YouTube app, you'd be able to automatically swap to a higher definition or higher quality video if it was in 4G, which is kind of neat.
That's really cool. So yeah, if you're streaming something and it'll just go high quality to sort of high quality.
Yeah, it'll just be like
that's great.
Yeah. So I don't know if it's going to be on the fly like that, or if it's going to say like you've now switched into 4G. Would you like to see high quality or anything like that? But there is one thing going for the Galaxy that isn't necessarily on the Evo, or that we haven't seen yet. They've kind of kept the processor. I know it's a 1 gigahertz processor, but the Galaxy is going to have Android 2.1, and this Cortex A8 processor, they're saying has 3 times the processing power of Snapdragon. Whereas like right now, the Nexus 1 can render 22 million triangles per second. And they're saying that the Galaxy is now going to be able to do 90 million per second.
It's a lot more.
I think that caters to our ADD culture well.
Yeah.
We'll have to wait.
Yeah. Well, and also in terms of gaming, I think I'd read something somewhere where it said the PS3 was like 200 million and the other one was like 250 million.
So that's 50% of the PS3 on a handheld?
Yeah.
That's.
And they're saying like within 3 years you're
too.
going to have like a PS3 quality graphics on your cell phones.
Yeah, I believe that.
So your friends are now waiting for 3
Yeah,
years.
you got 3 more years to wait. That's not long though. I mean, just think of it. It'd be awesome.
It's man, like I said, I think of it. Last week I was like Dragon Age, but and it's also going to have Bluetooth 3.0. So the Galaxy is like kind of picking up where you don't see necessarily the Evo or the next phone we'll talk about. They're kind of picking and choosing where they innovate and moving forward.
Right.
I'm sort of excited that we're having basically a fresh cell phone network built, where it's not AT&T trying to band-aid their network or Verizon trying to do theirs, but it's a fresh 4G network, which is,
Exciting.
the phones are all cool, but the network is really going to make the difference in the user experience, I think.
Yeah, no, I think you're absolutely right. Right. And the last phone, I felt like mentioning because I thought it was very interesting, is well, actually, I want to ask you a question because since you are, and you're a developer, so the model of the Samsung Galaxy that was at TWiA was non-compatible with US 3G carriers. So if the phone were to be ported, Jeff, where do you think it's going to go?
Which phone?
The Galaxy with the AMOLED and.
I don't know. So you're saying it doesn't work with US 3G?
Currently, the model they showed at TWiA was non-3G, US compatible.
Yeah. That's a good question. I mean, Europe's probably my best guess.
But if they were to port it
here, in terms of networks?
Yeah. Who do you think? What carrier do you think is going to get it?
I don't know. I mean, they're all sort of jumping on the Android bandwagon, but there's not really like any specific. I would guess probably like T-Mobile or Sprint. Just because, I mean, Verizon's already got the Droid that they're pushing really hard. The other two seem more open to trying out different phones.
T-Mobile needs a boost. I mean, I think they're going to compete hard for a cool device. I can't think of a really
amazing,
buzzworthy device right now on T-Mobile.
That's true. That's true. Well, maybe they'll pick up the Galaxy on like an exclusive for.
Maybe they need something.
That would be interesting.
Yeah.
Is it? How do you pronounce his name? Leeface?
I don't even know Leeface.
Leeface.
Tell him to shut up.
He's asking like, how would the battery life be for the two phones? And
that's a good question, actually.
I know that with the AMOLED, it's supposed to be you're supposed to get a lot more battery life.
That'd be cool. Do you know 4G, 3G wise? I don't know the difference there. I'm just guessing.
I'm sure it takes more battery.
Yeah, one would guess.
Or maybe searching for 4G would eat up more battery power.
Maybe.
The same as if you're in a spotty service area with 3G.
The iPhone 3GS was supposed to get way better battery life than the iPhone 3G, but because it can do so much more, people are shooting videos and running more apps.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Totally negates it. In fact, my 3GS experience, the battery's way worse than the iPhone 3G. So,
okay.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That makes sense.
Yeah, if it's just a protocol change, there's no necessarily hardware reason that it would suck more battery. But yeah, like you said, if you're using it more, you're going to suck more battery. So.
No, maybe because of the size of, like, for the Evo, we're talking a 4.3-inch screen.
Yeah,
so
it's a big phone.
Maybe we can have a bigger battery in the back because of that.
Yeah.
But only time will tell. And Brandon Corbin is asking, isn't the 4G on Sprint WiMAX? Yes, it is. And it's coming to more cities. I believe if you go to sprint.com/4G, you can check out like where it's available now, and the Overdrive is available as a mobile hotspot. 4G mobile hotspot.
I think I got a taste of it in Austin. I could have been imagining that, but I was at South by Southwest and I had my Overdrive and it was super fast.
Just like screaming?
Yeah, either everyone was on their iPhones and AT&T and that's
everybody
why,
was
or
like slowing down AT&T's network.
Sure, but it actually just some substance use at South by Southwest.
That's possible too. But I'm almost positive it actually said 4G on the device, so I think Austin may be one of those cities.
Very nice. And I know they were saying I think 120 million users to have access to the 4G networks within their metropolitan areas.
That's great.
By the end of the year. So, and no LTE, which is the Verizon AT&T version of 4G, no LTE until next year.
Is there a reason why carriers in this country can't just get together and play nice and have one standard like it is in the rest of the world?
You know,
it's doing the same thing all over again.
That's a really good question. And good old capitalism. I think it's just, business doing business where they're like, you know what, if we share it with everybody, then there's, like, I think with one of the big things was when everybody started going to the unlimited plans. Now that, like, once data broke, they tried to sort of rein it back in, and you just can't. So, and I think I I highly doubt that tiered data plans, like everyone's talking about the Evo, like is there going to be a tiered data plan? And I've heard from both sides saying like, oh no, I've heard from somebody within Sprint saying no, like we're going to keep the unlimited data plans and everything, and you're just going to pay an extra monthly fee for 4G.
Well, you know that Sprint used to have unlimited data plans on data cards and then took it away. There's now a 5 gig limit, I think, and now it seems like it's going back to unlimited, but they have not been consistent in that. No one has.
Well, it's sort of weird because like if you look at the usage statistics, it's like 99% of users use very little bandwidth, and when you look at the last 1%, they're all using just massive amounts of bandwidth. So it's hard to say, like, because if you put a cap on it for those 1% of users, you're going to piss off the other 99%, even though they're not hitting that cap.
They're saying, why are you keeping me back?
Yeah, a lot of them even have invisible caps.
Yeah.
Like,
well, I'm very curious as to when, if 4G is going to affect that. And for example, like the Evo, I think is, with the front-facing phone, I think they're really kind of, this is something I've been talking about with friends of mine, about how, phones should have the back, the higher megapixel camera than the front-facing, because then video conferencing becomes an option. And there's an app that they're developing right now that's going to go into beta soon, and I forget the name of it. I want to say it's called like BitBop or something like that, where they are going to do mobile-to-mobile video conferencing a la Skype. And so I think, I just can't imagine Sprint taking away, or even Verizon or anybody doing a tiered data plan and saying, well, if you use this much data, you're going to pay this much. Because it doesn't make sense. Like, I mean, I get that we do that with like land internet, but I don't think that they're going to get away with that on mobile. Or if they do, it won't last long.
The AT&T CEO was recently quoted saying they want to train iPhone users to use less data. So that's
well,
the
they
mentality.
are by having it on AT&T.
So. Well, yeah,
it's true.
Use it and
but it's kind of like you're saying, here's this phone with awesome streaming connection, and then but
no,
you only
no,
get
no.
this, it's like you can't stream your video if you don't have bandwidth. So like you can't advertise the video if you can't.
Even YouTube, if you look at YouTube on an iPhone, it's gotten consistently worse over the last 6 months. I think they're reducing the bit rate to accommodate for AT&T's network that just can't keep up.
Yeah,
so
it's quite possible.
And so it'll be interesting to see in June. I have a sneaking suspicion that we're going to see iPhone 4G or LTE or whatever they're going to call it. Yes, it is BitBop. I was right.
Yes.
But I definitely see them announcing. Obviously, my friend Mike and I were talking last week about how they have to launch a new phone. Like the iPhone has sort of lived its life now, and we're now seeing phones that are so much more powerful. Like with the Evo, there's no, I mean, they'll still obviously compete, but there's just no comparison in terms of power. People are going to want stronger and stronger phones that do more and more things. So I have a feeling in June we're going to be seeing a new iPhone. I think that's going to be the big announcement. Because the iPad, we've gotten that out of the way. And I wonder if they actually announced that early so that they could announce the iPhone in June and make it a one-man show, so to speak. Last phone is the very first, some would say in the world, push-to-talk Android phone, the Motorola i1.
Does anyone care about push-to-talk?
I was about to say, gosh, I'm excited.
I was going to say, there are tens of people excited about this phone, and they're thrilled. But the thing is I'm kind of confused about this phone. I mean, I get that people who are on push-to-talk, if you're like really desperate for an Android phone, this is your opportunity. But like they did like the most underwhelming specs. They unveiled this phone the week that the Evo is announced. This phone has almost half the processing speed of both the Galaxy and the Evo. It's 600 megahertz. It's going to be released with Android 1.5, which I think like 2 phones have Android 1.5 now, like the Tattoo
G1.
and maybe
the G1 still does.
Yeah, like some
our apps. We're gonna get to that, but our apps aren't even compatible. You need 1.6 in app, so that's amazing that
they're even releasing. Like I don't understand how they're even like. But it's supposed to be ruggedized. Like they're supposed to have this like.
So this is clearly for a different audience. It's not for a consumer.
Yeah, Mike Rowe from Dirty Jobs is like doing this phone, and so he's endorsing this phone, and I would imagine it's for people who use push-to-talk for their business purposes, like construction or dirty jobs, like people who are doing things that need the phone to perform, regardless of having gravel fly around. Or
that makes total sense because not everybody wants to pay $500 for a brand new phone, and like if you don't need the Snapdragon processor, like why pay that extra money for
But
it?
maybe you want some of the basic Android
That's a pretty
apps.
smart business niche to go for.
That's an interesting. That's an interesting point of view. That's a good point. I think you make a really good point. But I think you know what, I really want to talk to you a lot about your app. So I think it's time for App of the Week. And our App of the Week this week is Mobile Roadie. And we have the CEO of Mobile Roadie, Michael Schneider, in studio with us. So thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Again. And there's a YouTube video that is on the website, and we're going to go ahead and show that to you right now so that you can get a little taste of what Mobile Roadie does. So do we have that ready?
Mobile Roadie apps seem to be popping up everywhere. For musicians and athletes, movies and celebrities, companies, events, even schools and nonprofits. They're all taking advantage of the powerful iPhone and Android platforms to connect with their fans in a whole new way. Take this band from LA. They launched their new app just last month, and already they're selling new tracks, creating buzz around their next tour, and keeping on-the-go fans up to date. How'd they pull it off? They used Mobile Roadie, the simple and inexpensive way for anyone to build and manage their own iPhone and Android apps. In just a few minutes, you can choose a theme, upload your graphics and media, then customize the app just the way you like it. Mobile Roadie handles everything else. Once it's live, the simple-to-use web-based management system makes updating content a breeze, and immediately your updates go live on both iPhone and Android devices. With your own custom app, not only are you connected with your fans, but fans can connect with each other, sending your viral message to an even broader audience. And this is just a taste of what your customized app can do. Come see for yourself. Check out these and other Mobile Roadie powered apps in the iTunes App Store and the Android market. Mobile Roadie, mobile apps for everyone.
And that is Mobile Roadie in a nutshell. Is that your voice?
No.
Okay. Sounds kind of like you.
A little bit?
A little bit.
A little bit.
A little bit. So, Mobile Roadie, this is a really good first question. So someone's asking in our chat room, Fugu Fish in our chat room is asking if you can comment on Apple's policy of, I know this is an Android show, but of wiping out template-like apps. Like, how is Mobile Roadie different from that? Like, can you elaborate?
Apple wants high-quality apps. Android's open for really anything. And so I think Apple is moving towards not just having an app to have an app, but having an app that has a purpose to actually be an app. So if something can be a mobile website, it doesn't need to be an app. If something can be a feed, it doesn't need to be an app. And so Apple's raising the bar on quality. We're thrilled. I mean, it's great for us. We're well positioned. We're not cookie cutter. We're not templatized. There's a lot of customization options, and so that's basically what's going on right now.
So it's so customized to each user that is signing up for your service that, for example, because I own a TWiA, I know this. There's like 1 million hot girl wallpaper apps that are all pretty much templated. It's like hot brunette, and then the next week it's the exact same developer doing like hot blonde girls or whatever. So as opposed to that, this is much more tailored to an individual's user experience on the back end of development and making it, something really customizable for their. How many different things can people use Mobile Roadie for? Yeah,
well, pretty much. And to answer your question, how many things can people use Mobile Roadie for? We were shocked. I mean, we came out a year ago as a quick and easy way for bands to create an iPhone app. And I'm sitting here today, and I have authors, I have churches, I have conferences, I have wineries, I have hotels, I have nonprofits, all using the same. I'm calling it a template now. I'm contradicting myself a little bit, but it's so customizable. It really can apply to anything.
I have a question for you. So I checked out your website yesterday, and I just watched that video, and I'm still not clear what it actually looks like if I want to create an app. So what? Can you just walk me through the process of so I buy your software. What am I presented with, and then how do I use that to create my app?
It's a web-based CMS, and it's drag and drop.
Okay.
So upload photos, upload videos, pull in RSS feeds, Twitter accounts, Google News,
So then am I presented with like a rectangle that I then drag and drop different buttons into, and then I tell
something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a customized section where you probably saw in the video, you can rename tabs and reorder them.
Yep.
So you configure it how you want. You upload your content. There's appearance options, customize the colors, and then you submit it to us. We quality check it and we submit it to Apple or Google.
Yeah.
So so now you're kind of you guys have kind of become a resource for any business, individual, group, anything to promote their product, whatever that is, whether it be a cause. For some reason, when I saw this, I immediately thought of like political uses for this. Like a lot of people.
We have a guy running for Congress
who want to campaign. That's very cool. To show that they're tech savvy to young voters. Perhaps get them motivated in a way that hasn't really been done before, interacting with people. I mean, I know that especially with the Obama campaign, there was a lot of texting. So this was a big deal. And so they really felt that grassroots text campaign sort of helped kind of capture youth voters. And this is something that I sort of see as the next step and an evolution in that.
I think so. Obama, I'm just guessing here, maybe spent $250,000 on his iPhone app. It was one of the newest. It was cutting edge. It had a whole bunch of features that were just really, really on that bleeding edge. Felton Newell, who's running for the U.S. House of Representatives, mobile Roadie client, told me he felt like Obama, but he was only paying us $500. So that shows you how much the barriers come down. I think we're helping to bring that down and commoditizing it to a certain point while maintaining quality.
Very cool.
Yeah. And it's inevitable. If you look at the web, there's tons of frameworks that have come out, or various CMSs. Like, it makes sense, obviously, developing an app. It's not that difficult. You should be able to genericize it and then
It's difficult for us to make it easy for you to have a highly customizable app.
Mm-hmm.
There's competitors out there that you have a background image, and if you change the image, that's your degree of customization.
Yeah.
We think
there's a
higher bar out there.
Sure.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about, you mentioned the basic things that are available for an entity using mobile Roadie. You have the home page, or you have your photo gallery. But what are things that you guys can do? What's something that you can bring to the table that nobody else has, or that it makes you unique, do you think?
We're the only platform on Android, so I'll point that out since we're on an Android show. I don't know of any other platform that creates Android apps. It's all focused on the iPhone, and the iPhone's really important, but there's other devices out there that also matter. We make a ton of use of push notifications. I don't know of any other platform that does that. Kite, which is someone we see a lot in the music space, to my knowledge does not support push notifications, and they're supporting a lot of high-tier artists. So, we really focused on making these tools useful for musicians or useful for a politician who's speaking at an event, sends a push notification saying he's going to be in the area in 5 minutes.
Right.
Ashton Kutcher's a client. He updates his top 10 list of videos every week in his app, and then he sends a push notification out letting people know that it's updated. They can go into the app and check it out.
Very nice.
Do you take advantage of the Android technology being different? Because I know that in the OS, you're a lot more free to do, you have more privileges in the OS than you do in...
We do. And so, for example, let's say you're in Madonna's app and you're listening to music and you want to go check your email on Android, you can do that, and it'll keep streaming.
Yeah.
That's one huge advantage.
Yeah, okay.
So we have a few people in the chat room asking basically what is the answer to how you guys compete with WordPress's apps? Things that are like mobile blogging, anything that's like a Tumblr online, or mobile-wise.
Well, that's a mobile website, so in certain cases that's fine. If you just have a blog and that's all you have, use WordPress for mobile and it's going to look great. Apps, and if you want to go to mobileroadie.com/blog, I just did a blog post on this on native apps versus web apps. But the UI is very important. It's a much better user experience on an app. I can't push notify somebody to a website. The web is locked out of things like your address book and your iPod. There's security concerns there. There's a lot of advantages to a native app versus just a website.
Now, can you give us a really quick tour on your Droid of what mobile Roadie is? Let's go to the Droid cam.
Let's do it.
And feel free to tell us a little bit about your product, what's going on, anything you got cooking.
I'm going to show you right now something that we have not released yet to the public. How's that? So this is a conference that's happening in New York City next week about mobile. We did the official app. We're also sponsoring and speaking there. You'll notice that it's the same app. On iPhone and Android, it looks very, very similar, assuming the Wi-Fi.
As soon as our internet connection kicks in.
It's the law of testing. It's going to break if it can.
I know. The poor internet connection here. It's like, I've had enough.
There we go. So it looks very similar. What's really cool is, so the iPhone has always had this thing called cover flow. And this is what cover flow looks like. Everybody probably has seen this. You've used your iPod. You've seen this for album covers. If you tap on someone, you can read their bio. You can say you like them. You can add comments. We've duplicated the same experience now on the Android. And so it's pretty much the same thing. It's very, very slick. You click on someone, and it pulls in that same exact view. This is a view that we'll be giving to all of our clients. And it's just an example of a way that we think Android has just as much potential as iPhone. And there's 50 Android devices coming out in the next 3 months, so we're paying a lot of attention to it.
So you guys are keeping an eye on that.
Yeah.
All right, that's really cool that you guys have you guys sort of cracked the nut on cover flow.
Yeah.
So, which is really neat, and it seems like to me that people would be just should be running over each other to get this app. Like if they've got something to promote. I mean, like I know something like my band who it's really small, but and wouldn't necessarily have the money to find somebody to develop an Android application just for our band. I mean, that's a lot of time, it's a lot of cash that smaller bands, indie bands that aren't signed to a label don't have. But I think that now, like you said, you're kind of making that so much more available to people that are not necessarily swimming in cash, like the Obama administration.
Yeah.
But talk a little bit about the price point for if somebody wanted to get involved, or if somebody had a business they wanted to start using Mobile Roadie with.
It starts at $4.99 and $29 a month. There's a few options. It can push up the price a little bit. The monthly fee is tiered based on the usage. So if you're a small indie band and you have 500 people using your app, they're probably your 500 super fans, you're only going to be paying that $29. If you're Madonna and you have 20,000 or 30,000 people using your app, the monthly fee is going to go a bit higher. What no one realizes is when you make an investment to get an app on your own, it's not just paying for the app initially. Technology changes every week, every month. You have to keep up with that. You have to constantly tell your developer what to do and the new features you want him to add. And Apple just came out with a new OS release. Now what do? We take care of that. So it's not just paying to have an app or paying for us to host it. It's a license for our technology for future updates.
Okay.
So we take that burden of technology off of you. You can focus on your band. Business can focus on a business. Politician can focus on doing that. And we constantly update the app and the technology included in the price.
Now, there was something that you had mentioned on your website about that you guys had mentioned that if you could think of something to add to Mobile Roadie for your particular your particular app. So like if my band wanted to add like a contest or whatever, that we could do that we could commission Mobile Roadie to build that. Is there anything in particular that you have been really surprised by that someone has asked you to build, or something really cool that you guys have sort of done for somebody that's not necessarily part of the basic Mobile Roadie package, but something really...
Yeah, so there's two ways to go about that. If someone suggests a feature to us, even if they're willing to pay for it, if it's not on our roadmap, we'll probably refer them to one of our partners to get it done, and then we'll come back and put it inside their app for them. But occasionally people will come with a feature that we think is really cool that can apply to everyone using our platform, and we'll do it. One example is coming out where you've probably seen those apps where you can take a photo and put yourself in a different scene. So that's going to be available on Mobile Roadie in the near future. Thanks to a Mobile Roadie customer who requested that. We thought it was cool. We did it. It's going to be rolled out platform-wide.
Very nice.
So it's either custom, working with one of our partners, or even their own developer, and then passing the binary on to us, and we'll put it inside the app.
I see.
Or it's us working on stuff that we think can apply to everybody.
Very cool. And do you have any questions? I feel like I'm talking over.
No, that's fine. You guys, I'm assuming you keep control of the source code. You're not going to release that to customers. Okay. Just curious, if they do have an app or a developer that they work with post that do they create plugins? Do they just give you code and you guys plug it into the...
They'd give us a binary, a compiled binary, and we would bake it into the app as a section.
Okay.
Now, Sam Ben Salem on our chat room is asking if you guys plan to offer an e-commerce solution. I know that bands, like if I had a band, you could buy my music through either the Android music store or iTunes.
Yeah.
But do you guys plan at some point?
We're going to be making some announcements around that, yes. Right now, you can link to an e-commerce store. So any website pulls inside the application, but we're working on some cooler stuff.
Very cool. And how have you found developing for Android? Like, how long have you guys been around as Mobile Roadie?
We just celebrated our 1 year.
Very nice. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And okay, so you started developing just for iPhone and then started with Android. How have you guys found developing for Android to be different than developing for iPhone?
Well, to make a native Android app, it's completely different. It's Objective-C on the iPhone, it's Java on the Android. So it's starting from scratch. We had the benefit of our content management system, of our backend, of all of our designs we had already done, but it's a completely new thing. And we hired developers just to focus on Android, and we still have them focusing on updating the Android and keeping pace with the iPhone as well.
Very cool.
You guys plan on forking that at all, based on what your offerings are, or are they already forked? Like, is the iPhone offering the same right now as the Android offering?
It's 99% there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you plan on forking it, or?
What do you mean by forking?
Forking by like diverging them. Do you plan on like having different features offered for Android?
No, because what we want is we want to be the mobile platform of choice.
Yeah.
So you create it once, you flick the iPhone switch, Android switch, BlackBerry switch, Nokia switch, and it's the same experience on all those devices. And we're sort of trying to democratize it. We don't want people to have to pick and choose.
Yeah.
So we're trying to keep it.
Sense. Is it additional fee if you do multiple OSs?
It is.
Okay.
So it's $4.99 set up for each platform. You do get a 20% discount on Android if you sign up for both.
Yeah, okay.
So go for the discount, I say. Especially after I had sent this to you too. Android, I think in the last, like for year to year, they grew 1,100%. So
yeah, it's pretty huge.
go with both. If you're going to get Mobile Roadie.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a pretty minor investment to be on both of what I would consider to be the hot app platforms today.
Right. And now, now out of curiosity, are you going to have Mobile Roadie available for iPad?
So
I know this is not an Android question, but I'm curious to know, or any Android tablet as well. Like we have the what's the name of that tablet that I had earlier? There's a great tablet coming out for Android.
the cool one that's out of Germany that I just saw today.
Yeah, that's the one.
Is that the one you're talking about?
Same one I'm talking about.
Enzo, something like
WePad.
that?
The WePad?
I've seen
WePad?
The WePad, yeah. How could I forget that?
So all iPhone apps work on the iPad. It's just a matter of if they're built natively for the iPad, they'll look better, the function a little better, you have the gestures on the iPad. We will come out with a iPad-specific version this summer.
Okay. And I'm sure an Android one is probably not far behind.
Yeah, no, it's not. And no one's played with even the iPads, let alone an Android tablet. So once we get our hands on one and we start to mess around with it, I'm sure we'll do something.
Now, my biggest question for you is when 4G comes out, what do you think? I mean, obviously there's probably things you guys can't disclose, but where do you see something like Mobile Roadie going with super high speed download capability, super high speed streaming ability? I mean, how do you see Mobile Roadie kind of evolving with 4G and LTE when it comes out next year? Because I can imagine there's some extraordinary things that Mobile Roadie is going to be capable of and available to all of its users.
Well, we're already doing stuff like live streaming. If you're on Ustream and you have a Mobile Roadie app, excuse me, you can send a push notification saying, I'm going live right now, and then people can watch you in your app live on Ustream in real time. We're already doing stuff like that. We did it for Le Web. That was our first one last December in Paris, big technology conference, and it was great, but it worked most of the time. There's nowhere for mobile to go but up, and with 4G, it's just more usage, more people watching video, sharing photos, commenting in real time, watching in real time, maybe back and forth to a video chat in real time. I mean, it's great. The network needs to catch up with all these cool things devices can do. Even the iPhone today has a much faster chip than AT&T is able to take advantage of. And so your iPhone's hindered because AT&T can't keep up. Not just with making calls and drop calls and stuff like that, but data speeds, what they should be, what the iPhone's capable of compared to what the network's capable of.
Right. I can imagine doing things like that are, town hall type things where you have a stream between like if I was in a band and Jeff wanted to ask me a question, if you were a fan of my band, and which hopefully you are. And
they're pretty good. I watched
all
the
right,
video.
cool, all right. But like if we were live streaming and then there was something in terms of what we have on Ustream right now, which is a chat room underneath it where people can either tweet or they can, just automatically like a fan wall. So ask questions to the band and do a live interview with the fans. There's such a level of interaction that you can't get, and that I really see as, definitely flourishing when 4G comes out.
Yeah, I was on a panel at MEDEM, which is a big European music conference, about a month ago. And the moderator, we did the app, and the moderator said, if you have a question for the panel, go in and post it to the fan wall in the app, and I'll be checking it. And he was actually, there were no mics in the room, so he was actually taking questions from the app and asking the panel, which was kind of cool.
That's great, yeah. And see, that's
sweet.
such a good application of what Mobile Roadie's capable of.
Yeah.
So, but I think we'll wrap it up. I think we've run you through the gauntlet of questions that we have. Do you have any more?
I don't think so. If I think of any hard ones, I'll let you know.
Yeah.
Please do.
Yeah. And are Mobile Roadie's on Twitter?
Yes.
Just at Mobile Roadie.
Mobile Roadie.
And you can find Mobile Roadie at mobileroadie.com. And I definitely think that this is an app to watch. I mean, it's great now, but I can see it being extraordinary when we start seeing things like 4G.
I can't even imagine 3 months from now, so
yeah.
Stay tuned.
The PS3 graphics we're going to have in 3 years, and so it'll be fantastic. But thank you again.
Thank
Michael. This is Michael Schneider, the CEO of Mobile Roadie, with us for App of the Week, and I think it's time to go to the news.
Awesome.
So I think we're going to have Michael stay and talk with us about the news. I thought this was great. Android boasts 7 of the 10 top smartphones in the United States. It comes to us from Android and Me, who also gave me this fantastic shirt from their South by Southwest. Thanks, Android and Me. But AdMob released their February 2010 mobile metrics report, and they started separating the traffic into 3 different categories: smartphones, feature phones, mobile internet devices. Smartphones overtook feature phones around the Droid launch, which I don't think anybody is surprised by. Smartphones are pretty much the norm now. But Android reached an all-time high of 42% compared to the iPhone's 44%, and they're saying that at this rate, Android is going to become the leading mobile operating system in AdMob network next month. So huge news for Android, really big deal. And they also had mentioned that, like we said earlier, Android grew, they grew 1,100% year over year, which is ridiculous.
Shocking, yeah. But think about it, what Android phones were out this time last year? I'm pretty sure it was just the G1.
Yeah.
So there was not much to be excited about.
Which, by the way, is very slow and clunky. And
it's a little bit, yeah. My housemate has one that he bought back in the day, but they were awesome when they came out.
Yeah.
For a developer, which is it's a little caveat there. But yeah, now we have, dozens of phones that you can run Android on. So the increase there is not shocking. The shocking fact is that they're matching the iPhone for amount of use.
Huge.
That's been all over the internet today. I've seen it in a couple of different places.
Which is, we'll talk about this in a second, but for advertising dollars, I think that they're doing incredibly well. And you had mentioned they're releasing 50 Android phones
in the next
3 months,
yeah.
Which is just going to build and build. Their market share in terms of advertising dollars and advertising eyeballs, as they say, is...
You do need to look at the engagement, though, because iPhone users still do 90 times more what Android users do in the apps and in terms of engagement. So yes, there's a lot of devices. That's great. I love the rate that they're improving. But Taylor Swift's app, for example, the numbers we're seeing in terms of buying music and tickets and merch and streams, Android versus iPhone, there's no comparison. It's less than, I think, 1% of the iPhone usage.
Do you know how does that compare to the actual numbers of apps installed?
What do you mean?
I mean, like what percentage of the apps installed is on iTunes or iPhone versus Android?
You mean the total number of
For
apps
the
available?
user, yeah.
For that particular Taylor Swift example.
It's less than 1%.
Okay, so it's actually the installs of the apps? Or
It's both. It's the
it's both,
engagement.
okay.
Yeah, it's both. It's the engagement and it's the number of installs.
Okay.
So we're hearing, big numbers, 44 versus 42%. But my point is, we have what arguably is one of the hottest artists in America, and her numbers are just totally skewed towards iPhone.
Yeah, so there's definitely some different marketing or something
Different
going on
demographic,
there.
different
Well, you
marketing.
wonder if it has to do with the, we talk about this a lot on this show every week, that number one, I think that Taylor Swift obviously caters to a different demographic than what an Android user might be. And also you're looking at, in terms of, it's an iPhone app, but also I'm assuming it can be used on iTouch as well.
Yeah.
So people who have an iTouch could be using that, like, all of the girls who, because a lot of her, I would say a major part of her fan base are girls like, 10 to 15.
Yeah.
So I would imagine not a lot of them are going to be really tech savvy in terms of Android phones. And the iPhone, we've always said that the biggest Achilles heel of Android operating systems and Android phones is that there's a bigger learning curve. And with the iPhone, you can just pick it up and use it.
It's more than that. It's if you, excuse me, if you want to buy music on the iPhone, you click buy, you enter your iTunes password, and it's done. If you want to buy music on the Android, I'm shocked this is even the case, but Amazon has a built-in MP3 store that you should be able to use as a developer. But if someone wants to buy Taylor Swift's song 15, I can't send them directly into that app to 15. I can either send them to the app, but then they have to research for the item. You're going to have a huge drop-off of people.
Right, who don't want to be bothered.
I can send them to Amazon's web store, but they block off usage from the Nexus One because they want people to use their app. So from a developer point of view, it's not nearly as friendly, and that's it's not rocket science. If you make it easy for people to buy, they'll buy.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty, again, of iTunes.
Yeah.
Just native. Easy, native. Pick it up, use it, password, music.
Yeah.
Very simple.
That sounds kind of like a software lag as opposed to any sort of usage lag, which is understandable.
Yes.
Considering it's still a pretty young operating system.
Yeah.
And so I guess we'll see on that. The demographics issue is definitely out there as well, but it's hard to say with just, contemplating it as opposed to any hard numbers.
I think typical Android users are 18 to 30-year-old men.
Yeah, I think you're right,
yeah.
actually.
Mark's Jeffrey is saying, I bang this UI drum every week on this show, and he does. And we talk about this every week, that it's just so it's not necessarily user unfriendly, it's just not at the level that the iPhone has made it. Just so, like my grandma has an iTouch, it's like she can just pick it up and use it, and it's easy. And, if she tried to use an Android phone, she'd be like, I don't understand any of this. And she's fairly tech savvy, but she would be like, what are all these pop-up messages and what's going on? And,
I gave my 6-year-old mother an iPhone for her 60th birthday. And she asked me where the manual was, and I told her there isn't a manual. And she's like, well, I'm going to be calling you with all sorts of questions. And I think she called me once.
Yeah.
So. I don't know. I'm a developer, so it's hard to say from my personal experience, but I would give my mother a Droid, and I think she'd be fine with it. I talked to one of my other friends who's not a tech-savvy person who gave his mother a Droid, and he said it's actually been pretty well. Like, I know Mark talks about there's a couple issues in there where, granted, I would give him like the installing an app where you have the additional screen where you have to say, okay, I allow these privileges. Mm-hmm. That's a
Why
little much.
Why should the user
maybe.
know what a privilege is?
No, exactly.
Right.
I'll give you that one. But like, there's a lot of stuff in here that just makes sense. And
it's
I'm
scary
biased,
with an open operating system the way Android is, though. I think that it's scary I think you need those privilege pop-ups, and that's sort of the give and take of having such an open operating system. Mm-hmm. Because with the iPhone, it's closed, so everything's safe. Apple knows everything's safe. Obviously, if you jailbreak your phone, that's at your own risk. But, if it's definitely with Android, if you're getting these pop-ups and everything that's saying, like, would you like to, approve privilege on this or whatever, you're looking at something that might be malicious to your phone. Might be, because it's an open operating system. And I think that's, like I said, it's an inherent double-edged sword.
I think it's the UI, too, though. Your mom could use the Droid and she'd get used to it, but getting used to it's the point. Like, you barely have to get used to the iPhone to have a good experience. I know from a developer point of view, coming from my perspective too, it's more interesting. You can do a lot more. It's an open operating system. Things can run in the background. But I think from a UI perspective, it's still an iPhone world.
I can't help but laugh at one of our users in our chat room says, Sam Ben Salem, I'll say, if you can't figure out an Android phone, you should really give up and get 2 giant bean cans with a string in the middle.
I concur. I appreciate that.
Lowest common denominator there.
Well, and I think as smartphones start to become more prevalent, just generally speaking, because there's a lot of people out there who, I mean, we can all sit here and say, oh, well, God, well, Android phones are so easy to use. Like, I can't believe people couldn't figure it out.
Yeah.
But like there are people in parts of the country who still have phones that are 6, 7, 8 years old.
It's true.
And so I think as we start to see smartphones completely flood the market and be the only thing available to us. And as broadband starts to basically take over, like I know we've been talking about, the FCC has been talking about having free broadband for everybody in the country. Things like that. As soon as we start seeing technology really start to spread everywhere, like it took a while for the internet to even be something that, 90% of households have, some form of internet, whether it be dial-up or sorry, I got a little sick, but or FiOS. Either way, it's gonna come down to the basic user, the person who doesn't understand smartphones. Like once we start getting those into those communities and those people, I think we're gonna start seeing a change.
Yeah, the whole question of user interface really becomes moot once people understand how it works.
Right.
And like the example of I guess the iPhone. I never used an iPhone, but like. But see, like, okay, there's a giant button here and I push it. Slide to unlock, I got that. But like, I mean, there's a certain amount of learning that goes into this. Like, there's a button here, like.
You just did it.
I did just do it, you're right, I know. Okay, how do I get out of this app?
It's the big button again.
Okay. All right, and then I got a screen full of apps. So, and then I do the same thing on here. I guess I need to know that this button's here. But anyway, my point is that as we learn, as it becomes sort of habitual, like we understand how things work. Like I wouldn't have not known what a button was if I had, if I were a child and never seen any sort of electrical device before. Like, but that seems stupid to make that argument, right? Because everyone knows what a button does. Like everyone knows this thing. You push the thing on the front.
I have to disagree with you, though. I mean, not just because I'm not trying to be an Apple fanboy here. I do use an iPhone, but it's because my developers have a much easier time. How do I put this as simple as possible? Making cool-looking shit on an iPhone than they do on an Android. They have to play with the animations more on the Android. That cover flow is not native to Android. We had to sort of tweak some stuff. It is native to iPhone.
Right.
So it's like, it's sort of the sexiness factor that's missing a little bit from the UI.
Yeah, again, that's the software lag, I would say.
It is. So. I'm not saying it's hardware software. I'm just saying what's out in the market and what consumers don't care if software or hardware. They just care about their experience.
Yeah.
It's still not there.
Okay.
We're developing for it. We believe in it. I think it will get there, but it just has some work to do.
Well, I think somebody had mentioned something on the chat that I think I'm going to expand on, which is I think a lot of development goes into Android and not necessarily a lot of UI interface, like beautification, as it were. And I think that that's changing as we're seeing more and more Android phones. Like you said, 50 Android phones in 3 months, we're paying a lot of attention to it. And I think as that ball sort of gets rolling and it's going to start to snowball, I think we're going to start seeing more and more UI beautification and ease of use, things that are going to be changing in terms of the Android operating system.
You have to look at Google's DNA, though. They're not about design. They're about utility. It's functional. It works.
Mark Jeffrey just said, lots of cake, not enough frosting. And I think that that's a perfect way to describe it.
Design is in Apple's DNA. So the iPhone, I think, is always going to have this sort of sexy look. It's questionable if Droid will ever need to get there or get there. I mean, we're trying to create beautiful-looking apps on both, but it's easier to make a sexy-looking app on the iPhone right now.
And that's fair. I mean, I think that's a fair thing to say because that's what they deal in. Now, iPhone deals in sexy. And I can't deny that. Like, I mean, as much as I like my desktop computer, it's not as pretty as a G5. It's just, it isn't. So, all right. Well, let's go on to the next thing, which is, I'm curious as to your opinion on this too, and yours as a developer. The Dell Aero was announced for AT&T, and the same thing's been happening with the backflip. There's AT&T has been kind of locking down the Android experience, which they've removed Google search in favor of Yahoo. They prohibited users from running non-market Android apps, so you can't use anything you find
Really?
outside of the market. Yeah, they've been really kind of.
It's very contrary to the whole Android ecosystem.
Yeah.
Well, and there's
Ethos.
also a lot of and there's also a lot of bloatware on it that comes pre-installed with the phone. Like on my Pre, I have NASCAR, the NASCAR app. Like I'm never going to use that, and so but and you can't uninstall it. And it's the same concept here. There's a lot of bloatware on these phones that users can't uninstall. You can't. And then you can't really break the phone. You can't jailbreak it because if you're installing third-party things to get rid of these or like hide them at least.
Kind of outrageous. I didn't know that was going on with Android. Thought that only happened in the Apple or Windows ecosystem. I don't even know what to say. I think it's
Apple has
totally
poisoned AT&T's.
I guess. I mean, if like a NASCAR app, if you really truly can't remove a NASCAR app from your phone and you really don't care at all about NASCAR, that's offensive to. I mean, don't buy that phone. Like that would be a reason for me not to buy it.
And see, for me, I understand that there's a lot of advertising dollars at stake, and NASCAR has paid Sprint a lot of money to have their app on the phone and like exclusivity rights and all this stuff. And I mean, I get that. and I guess Sprint is like a major NASCAR sponsor.
Yeah.
Like at NASCAR events that I've worked at, they've had the booths, and they have these like little handheld things where you can watch the race and you can get all these like interviews and things like that, which is fantastic. But on that same note, I mean, for people like hardcore Android fans who are on AT&T, they're kind of getting screwed like in the deal, because they can't really do what the phone is, like you said, is intended to be, an open source operating system. I mean, you're supposed to be able to customize and do what you will with the phones. So, I mean, what do you think as a developer?
I mean, it pisses me off, basically, just their whole approach. But I'm not really worried, because if you look at it, like, so many phones coming out with Android on it, like, why would you choose the one that sucks, that's locked down? If you don't have to choose, I mean, the problem with Apple is that you have to choose Apple, because that's all there is in the case of an iPhone. But if there were two carriers, there was an iPhone carrier, and then there was like the, H phone carrier that was exactly the same, only not locked down, why would you choose the iPhone? Unless it's offering some additional benefit to you, who cares? So, I mean, I think the market will kind of sort that out. And people will choose what makes sense to them. If they don't care, if they're getting a cheaper phone, I mean, because obviously the benefit of having all the bloatware is that then the phone is cheaper. So maybe having a cheaper phone is of your benefit and you'll choose that one, but otherwise...
And hopefully you're a NASCAR fan.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, if you're going to be buying a cheap phone with NASCAR bloatware...
Well, for me, I just put it on the last. That's the nice thing about the Pre is we have all the pages. This page is just like this, so I just move it to the very last page and I just try to ignore it. But I also have my phone. It's not rooted, but it's almost. I have quick install, so I can just hide all that stuff with patches.
When is Google going to send you a free Nexus 1 for doing this?
I don't know. Google, if you're listening.
You keep saying Pre, and you're hosting an Android show.
But yeah, it's not out yet. Maybe it is available. Yeah, the Nexus 1 just came.
I said something earlier about T-Mobile. I was wrong. It's T-Mobile that has the Nexus 1.
Well,
yeah,
all four carriers now are going to have the Nexus 1.
Verizon doesn't yet, but yeah, I just saw an article.
I don't think it's going to Sprint.
Yes, they announced it last week.
I believe it is. Yeah, I think all four carriers are going to.
All four carriers are. All four national carriers are going to have the Nexus 1. AT&T doesn't actually have it. It's just available. Like you can buy it through Google and it will work with AT&T.
Not fully. It only works on 2G.
Yeah. So there's some problems with it, and I've heard that there's a lot of backbiting about that. But no, they did announce that they're going to have the Nexus 1 on Sprint. And for Sam Ben Salem, I'm going to tell you right now, I would have gotten the Hero if I had known about it. And I camped out in front of a Best Buy for like 4 hours so that I could get my Palm Pre the day it was launched. And then 5 months later, the Hero came out, and I was really sad. But so I'm gonna get an Android phone. I promise. I get so much.
Google needs to send you one.
Somebody send me a Nexus 1.
Seriously, and me.
A really nice I really like the black one that they have. They have a silver one.
I think there's only one.
So pretty. They had a different color. Somebody saw an in the wild shot of one that was like a different color, so it was really nice.
Sexy.
But all right, well, you guys both have experience with this. No 2.1 yet on the Droid.
No,
We're still waiting.
I don't want to talk about that.
You're so upset. You're like, I'm out of here.
Yeah. Verizon actually put out, I think they released it to maybe 250,000 people or something like that, and then they immediately stopped, saying there was some sort of bug they had to work out first. That was like a week ago, and there was an update earlier today saying keep waiting, basically.
Well, Verizon won't even say anything. It was Motorola.
Yeah.
Motorola puts up this Facebook. By the way, it wasn't on their official website. It was on Facebook.
Yeah.
They said, we know you guys are anxiously awaiting the upgrade from 2.0 to 2.1. Ultimately, we want to ensure you have the best possible experience on your device. As a result, the rollout is taking longer than expected. Though we don't have the new deployment date to share just yet, we do promise we're working to get you updated information and we'll relay it as soon as possible. Thanks for your patience. We appreciate it.
Yeah, as a developer, I can totally understand, like, stuff breaks. And really, if they had pushed 2.1 and it broke my phone, I would be very upset. Versus now, I'm just a little upset because I don't have 2.1 yet.
But does this kind of speak to, again, something we talk about every week, the fragmentation of the rollouts of updates to different phones? Like, does this speak to how there needs to be a little bit more uniform updates, uniform rollouts, or even within the same, like, 90 days even?
That's one of the benefits of Apple, I have to say.
One update,
one
one
update,
phone.
one Apple, one update from Apple, and it works on both iPod Touch and iPhone. Yeah, it's affecting us too. I mean, people that have really old versions, like 1.5, can't view mobile Roadie apps. And it's not us. We want to make our apps as backward compatible as possible. But 1.5 is, what is 1.5, 8 months old, a year old?
At least
almost?
8 months.
It's more than that, I think, yeah.
It's at least 8 months old.
But there are phones being sold today, if I'm not mistaken, that still have 1.5 on it.
Well, just like that Motorola, the i1 is going to have 1.5 released. And so, you know, people are going to be...
It's like selling an iPhone with OS 2.0 and
Which
you're just
is
missing out on
strange.
everything.
Yeah,
I don't know,
which is
people are
so
still using
strange.
Internet Explorer 6, though. And that's borked, so...
Now,
not
someone was
shocking.
asking in chat, do you, like, just out of curiosity, do you think the carriers are the barrier to entry on the divide, or do you think it's...
I don't think it's carriers, because most of the carriers are not customizing the releases. So, like, Verizon's not putting a bunch of custom Verizon things. So I don't think that's the barrier. I'm guessing it's purely hardware. Although that argument doesn't make a whole lot of sense, because some people have ported it themselves.
Right. I've heard that
So-
Bitphone, the person who distributes the update, has had server, like, capacity issues. And that's why it keeps getting delayed, because there's problems
I could
with
see that.
distributing the over-the-air.
I mean, that's possible, but I mean, why not just throttle it then? Like, I'm sure they can do one person at a time, and they might as well just do something as opposed to
Nothing.
saying nothing. Yeah,
That's
doing
true.
nothing.
I mean, maybe they. I try to give people the benefit of the doubt, and I'm like, maybe they
Me
found
too.
a really big security bug or hole or something.
Yeah.
Like maybe something terrible happened, and they were like, oh, we got to keep, like you said, you know, oh, we can't break everyone's phones. Like,
Yeah.
let's just we'll take it back. So I mean, I'll try to give them a little bit of credit for that.
We'll
but
see. I
we'll
give them
see.
another week.
You'll give them another
I'm
week
setting
before you
something
get
on
out
fire.
your. I was gonna say before you get out your torch and your pitchfork.
Before you get
Exactly.
an iPhone, another week?
No, it's never gonna happen. So we'll keep. Not gonna happen.
Man, I can't believe that. But so something coming from iPhone now to Android, which I think is a really cool, just general idea, which is the PayPal bump. That's now going to be coming to Android. So hopefully soon, in developer speak, it's not like a developer's favorite word.
We like to use that word because it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, it means like whenever we feel like
Yeah,
it, whenever it's done.
Exactly.
So that's why I always respect companies like, for example, Blizzard with World of Warcraft. Everyone's like, when's it coming out? And they're like, it's done when it's done, and it's done when we say it's perfect. Like, that's the end of the story. There will
Yeah.
be bugs, but it will be the best it could possibly be when it's released. And that's fair. I'll give you that. If you want to release something when it's the best it can be, then okay. Just don't promise me a day.
Yeah.
Because
See,
then
that's
I'll get
the
really
problem. If
upset.
you promise a day,
Yeah. When you promise a
you're
day,
stuck. Yeah.
man, you got to deal with the anger of the people, and that never ends well. So, but do you think in terms of the, like, for mobile Roadie, I mean, do you think this is going to be something that you guys are going to be able to incorporate in terms of, you know, like, hey, I you know, maybe like I bought you a song, or I've purchased an album for you. Here's my PayPal bump, or here's $10, go buy this album or whatever.
Yeah, I think Apple just released today the ability to gift an app. And so if you gift an app on Android that's otherwise paid and then you bump it to somebody, it's kind of cool. Definitely going to take a look at it.
I think that would be, I like that idea of being able to just walk up to people, like with I'll just gift my album to our EP, to anybody. Like, I'll just start walking up to them and like hitting their phones.
Yeah, if you want a really nerdy happy birthday experience, you could just bump your phone and you're sending a $10 app or $20 app. I don't know.
Yeah, if you really wanted to be like cheap and
If you want it to be a cheap,
impersonal.
nerdy birthday experience.
It'll be the new gift card.
That's the
like
way
gift
I
cards
roll.
are cool now, but yeah, Jeff's
Cheap
like,
and
this sounds
impersonal.
awesome. Cheap and impersonal.
We don't have to talk to them anymore.
And one of the things that I really thought was interesting that we read this week, a lot of people have been really upset about this, but like I don't see a problem with it, which is Google, it came out that Google has been offering revenue sharing to carriers who have Google Apps pre-installed on their Android phones. And like people have been getting really pissed about this. And for me, like I don't understand why. I mean, maybe it's unfair to somebody like, to somebody who doesn't necessarily have what pretty much amounts to bottomless pockets in terms of, like Palm. Palm is like drowning in debt right now, and they're sinking. But, and they can't do something like this. They can't offer revenue sharing in terms of, but this is something that now, basically it's like, if you want to include Android market, cool, we'll share the revenue with you. If you want to include Google Apps, cool, we like that too. We'll share revenue with you on that. And if you want to work on another partner who will outbid us, be our guest, and we'll still keep working on the OS and making it the best it can be. And that's fine. So I'm just curious as to like what people, like what do you guys think in terms of like revenue sharing? Do you think that offering carriers money to include Google Apps on their phones is legit? Do you think that's fair?
I mean, it's kind of weird to me. Just if you look at my Microsoft Windows and the Internet Explorer thing, what they were charged for antitrust stuff for was packaging their operating system with their browser. So this is kind of a gray area because it's not Google necessarily packaging all their apps with their operating system, but they're paying other people to do it. So that could be what people are upset about. Personally, I don't really care as long as I can uninstall the apps. And I mean, it makes sense to have Market on an iPhone, or not an iPhone, on that Droid phone. So, I mean, RevShare is kind of what Google does. Like, it's their business, so they have every right to do it. So
Verizon just launched the Vcast App Store. And I think that carriers are trying to play catch-up. They really want a piece of this whole app thing, but, I don't know what the place is for them. You have developers building for operating systems, which are carrier agnostic. And, that makes it tough.
Yeah, that's another weird fragmentation of the Droid market, or the Android market, is the different app stores.
Yeah.
Because
if you're a consumer, you want a single app store.
Well, maybe not. I mean, I might want a specific app store for games if it's really good, and I can go.
Why not just have a category of games inside?
Well, if there's some way to aggregate it intelligently, like if Google somehow started an app store, okay, that's fine. But if there's not, and right now there's not, because
Google
no one
has an app store.
Google does have an app store, yeah. But they're not like locking people into it.
Right.
So you could have someone else. What if someone else came along and said, we're going to start a store, we're going to host it on all of our servers, there'll be an entry process, so we'll actually scan these apps, pre-scan it like Apple does. Would that be bad? That might be a good thing. It might, because quality of apps is going to go up. The problem is then you're dividing the market. So I'm kind of just of the opinion that we should just see what happens. And if one app store wins out, that's fine. If multiple ones win out for their own niches, I'm cool with that too.
I think carriers need to stay out of app stores. Personally, I don't see a reason to have carriers can build in apps on phones.
I agree with that.
But then you have an experience like you were saying where you buy a phone, it has a NASCAR app you can't get rid of.
Right.
The carrier did great. They made a lot of money, and you're stuck, and it's not a good consumer experience.
Right.
Yeah.
So
well, and on top of that, you're dealing with something like for example, on Verizon, they have their own like little private app store for the BlackBerry. I know that there's like a deal, like there's a thing right now where people are mad because on certain BlackBerries there's only certain content available in certain app stores, and it's like, okay, so now am I developing for the Verizon app store, and this is harder for developers because now you're having to submit to all the different carriers' app stores as opposed to just saying this is Android, this is iPhone.
Right. And what's next? I mean, is Santa Monica going to have an app store with apps that Santa Monica recommends, and American Airlines going to have an app store, and it's just totally confusing for the consumer.
Now, I know at some point we talked about there was the ability to make an app store within an app, where like, and I think this was like the first or second episode I hosted where I was like, so Vivid Video could make like an app store within their like Vivid Video app, and we could like, you could buy porn. But I mean, and I get that. Like, I understand like, where you can have something like that. But like, yeah, I don't understand where somebody be like, well, City of Santa Monica has decided that since we have the pier here and traffic, and we're going to make this like little Santa Monica app store, and it's going to be available at this website. Like, that seems ridiculous to me. Like, why fragment the market even more?
Yeah.
But to that point, why go to Vcast if you're on Verizon versus go to Android Market?
Right, exactly.
I don't understand that either.
Yeah. City of Santa Monica just needs to buy mobile Roadie and make their own.
Wow.
Yeah, and I basically agree with you guys, but to be devil's advocate, like, does it hurt anything? I mean, it's a little confusing. I don't really see Verizon adding anything to the markets.
I think it hurts the development community because for like,
it's possible.
I mean, I'm not a developer, you are, but like if I was a developer and I developed something and I was like, all right, I'm submitting this to the Android marketplace, and then someone's like, well, what about this? Like, you get like the one person who's like, I really want this app on this marketplace.
Yeah. Well, then you just make a cost-benefit analysis, and you say, like, is it worth this one person getting this app to go through this hassle? If it's not, then you don't. And then the market, I mean, it just fails because there's no need for it, and then we're back where we started, and there's no real harm done.
Yeah, but when there's big bucks involved, that Vcast store could be a need for it, and it exists because there's big bucks involved. Mm-hmm. And as a result, consumers are like, well, I have a Verizon phone. Do I go to Vcast? Do I go to Android Market? Do I go to this premium hypothetical app store we're talking about that's filtered? It's confusing. And
I think with what we were talking about earlier, the proliferation of cell phones in markets that have not really seen smartphones, I think you're going to get people who it's confusing.
Yeah.
Or if they don't have, they have more than one app, and it's just, crazy. My last one, I know we're like, we're getting close to or have run an hour, but I thought this was sort of important. China Unicom has been fighting with Google. China and Google have been in a very public battle about their search engines. And it's been a nightmare. But China Unicom has some Android phones in their pipeline. And because now they're in this sort of like search Cold War type Mexican standoff thing, they're actually going to be removing Google as the default search from their handsets, their Android-based handsets. And I wonder how this is going to affect. I mean, Google has basically saturated almost all of the Western market. So this is a huge opportunity for growth for them. And I mean, I understand why, but I'm very curious about what's going to happen because China is very mobile dependent. They're very, very dependent on their cell phones.
Did you hear that GoDaddy is now pulling out of China as well? They're not
really?
selling any more Chinese
domain names. There was one other company,
names.
I can't remember.
Was the third?
Yeah, there was a third company. I can't remember who it is that's pulling out.
Google and GoDaddy are two big names.
Huge names, right.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how I feel about it. As a businessman, I think it's foolish because there's just so many Chinese and there's so many Chinese mobile users and it's a huge opportunity. But there's a lot to say for standing your ground against censorship and taking a stand.
And I think BBC had mentioned that they had said the move could be a big blow for Google as China has far more people owning and using mobiles than it does using the internet.
Yeah, but China owns a share in Baidu.
Yeah.
So business-wise, do they really care? Brand-wise, they care.
Brand-wise, they care, right, to uphold the... I guess I understand that. I mean, that makes sense. In terms of... it makes me wonder where sort of the breaking point is. Like, in terms of... I wonder how they negotiate these things. Like, this reminds me of the HTC iPhone hurrah right now, the whole lawsuit thing that they're going through. Because I guess today, I don't know if this was I would guess it's a well-orchestrated PR photo opportunity. But Steve Jobs and
I saw that.
Schmidt were having a sandwich together outside at a sidewalk, like deli, which is, I mean, like, I was just like, come on, really? Like,
I think Jason posted that, right?
I think so. I saw that right before I left today, and I was just like, oh, come on. Like, you guys, like, that seems really staged. Like, and the couple of lines that people heard them say, also seemed, like, scripted, where they were like, well, everybody's going to get it, so why bother? And, like, it was really, I don't know. It it seemed a little shifty to me. That's all I'm saying. But yeah, I'm very curious as to where that's going to go in the future. I think I wonder if other Chinese carriers are going to be following suit.
I don't think China cares that much.
Now that you're probably right. When you have 2 billion people operating in your infrastructure as a society, it's pretty easy to be fairly self-reliant.
I think the negotiation was probably about 10 seconds. If you stop censoring results, you're out of China.
So. Well, and I don't know if it was a good idea for Google to like get around them by going through was it Hong Kong servers?
Yeah, but they're not getting around them because Hong Kong
and then they just like straight up blocked them, and man, what a disaster. Yeah. But yeah, that's going to be really interesting because I mean, really, that's the big catch. Like China is it's a huge place to be doing business with. So for one of the biggest companies in the world to not be doing business with and basically have gotten their hands smacked by China and said, well, now you're not going to be our search engine, or you're not going to be the default search engine on Android phones here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, it was definitely Google's choice to pull out, though.
That's true.
So I'm sure they've thought it through. They're pretty smart people. So
they made a decision. So
yeah.
Well, that is all the time we have today. I want to say thank you so much, Michael Schneider, Mobile Roadie. Thank you for coming in today and talking to us.
Thank you.
A lot of really good insights. It was really fun talking to you and having you here. And hopefully you'll come back and talk to us some more about stuff. Maybe we'll have you come chat with us about Android at some point in the future. And Jeff Ammons. You're like,
thanks for having me.
Thank you. Thanks for filling in. You're awesome. Good job.
Well, thank you.
I'm impressed.
I hope Mark, if you're out there, I hope you're doing all right.
And Mark, if you haven't passed out from the drugs,
the drugs are good.
We hope the drugs are good, and we hope you're feeling better. And hopefully we'll see you next week. Thanks to all of our lovely viewers out there. Thank you for watching, and thanks Android and Me for this fantastic shirt. And also go check out our website. It's thisweekend.com. We have a whole bunch of different shows. We've got This Week in Startups, This Week in Cloud Computing, This Week in Twitter, This Week in YouTube. We've got every kind of This Weekend you could have possibly imagined. And you can catch us on Twitter. You can find me at HeartlessJez, J-E-Z. You can find... Are you on Twitter?
Yeah,
Are you
I'm on Twitter. Yeah, occasionally. It's Jeff Ammons. It's
simple.
Come up here. Yeah, you can probably find me. It'll be on the website.
It'll be on the website, yeah.
I don't know if you want to follow me, though. It's my workout updates, I think.
All right. Yeah. So your workout updates?
Yeah.
And what you're having
for lunch? That's
about
all I use it for. What?
What are you having for lunch?
No.
Oh.
No.
Just working out.
I don't do that. Just work out. That's all I got.
Very nice. And are you individually on Twitter, or do you want to just...
I am.
Okay.
Yeah, it's MSFD.
MSFD.
Yep.
All right. And you can also go and follow Mobile Roadie on Twitter, because that's our app of the week. And thanks to everybody out there, and that's been This Week in Android.